Welcome to Washington East to West Sports. This is episode 65. I am Matt Beatty, joined alongside, as usual, by Sean Beatty and Kevin Ardall. If you want to get involved in the show, go ahead and tweet us. I am at Beatty_Matt. Sean's at Sean_Beatty. Kev's at Kev's with the first name believes me at 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Leave us a comment. Tell us what you think of the podcast and the topics we talk about. We are going to start with some hockey today. The Seattle Kraken are currently locked in a battle of 0-0 in the second, if I'm still correct, Sean. I'm sure you're watching it on another screen. Okay. So it's still 0-0 in the battle for the ocean. But let's go back and see what the Kraken have done in this past week. So they lost 6-1 to the Pittsburgh Penguins while we were recording last. Then they lost 3-0 to the Winnipeg Jets, which I will get to here in just a moment. And they finished out their 4-game homestand with a 5-4 loss in overtime to the Columbus Blue Jackets, currently in San Jose at SAP Center, playing the San Jose Sharks. We're going to start with a live report from the game against Winnipeg last Thursday. So I was in attendance. I took Sean and I's father to the game, his first NHL game ever. And on the ice, rather a disappointment. They just did not look like they were ready to play. The Jets scored within the first 5 minutes. It was 1-0 all the way till the third. Then Kyle Connor scored 2 goals and put it away. Kraken had plenty of opportunities, just could not seem to score. And that was by far the worst game I've seen them play in person. And my girlfriend brought up that I am cursed, and I think that is an accurate statement, as I am 0-3 so far in Kraken games. I'm hoping it's just a 2021 thing, and then next year I've got tickets.
They are 9-18, so the odds are you were just.
I know, yeah. But they play Chicago on MLK Day, and I will be there. So hopefully that'll break.
Who have you seen so far? Who have you seen?
I have seen them play Vancouver.
They're so that was probably you.
The Rangers.
They're
and
good.
The Jets.
Yeah, the Vancouver one's probably on you, Matthew.
Yeah, I would say so. So overall, tough to watch them play that poorly, but I want to mention Grubauer. He played really well. He was the best player on the ice for the Kraken, and it could have been much worse without him playing as well as he did. He just didn't really get a whole lot of help from his defense. A couple of those goals, he just was kind of left out to dry, and Kyle Connor capitalized. So it was just bad defense, not covering people coming down the slot, right down the middle of the ice. It's just, you got to cover those guys, and it's just easy goals for Winnipeg. But overall, to start the homestand with a 4-3 win over Edmonton, a really good team, and then to just kind of fall flat on your face, it's disappointing. But overall, the Kraken aren't doing as bad as they could be. So I suppose there's something to chalk up there. They're 9-15-3. They don't have a lot of points. They're at the bottom of the standings right now, but it's still time to come back and make this a decent season. But overall right now, it's tough. It's tough. It's just nice to have a team in Seattle, but I wish they were winning more. But overall, the game was still fun, even when they lost. But I'm hoping next year the curse will finally be broken. Kevin, have you watched the Seattle Kraken hockey recently?
I have not. Just due to work. If I wasn't working like crazy, I probably would watch a game here or there. Unfortunately, I think it's just a combo of just them not be, first year stuff. Maybe they have weak knees or something along that line. Some 5-year-old girly knees. I don't know how that works, but it's just, the Edmonton win was, as we talked about last week, was impressive, but it was just a week a second. Hopefully they can kind of turn it around this upcoming week. Try to get as close to 500 as you freaking can. But to be honest, am I sad about it? No, because expectations were not really high. My high expectations for them were to be 500 on the season. So if they're lower than that, it sucks, sure, but it's not something I'm gonna, cry in my pillow about tonight. So, well, I might, maybe.
So, Sean, what have you thought of the Kraken so far, and why are you not wearing a Kraken hat to counterbalance your Shark shirt right now?
I actually don't know where my Kraken. Oh,
I'm gonna throw up on your face, Sean, if you don't put one on.
There we go.
Attaboy.
There we go.
Attaboy. Put it
Put it
on.
on. Oh, wow.
Yeah, okay.
Wow.
You're both banned from Climate Pledge Arena now.
So I'll be going when they play the Sharks next time in January. But yeah.
You're banned.
It's I had a tricky. So when they first drafted, I thought they were just garbage. I then would read a couple articles and I got tricked into going against my gut and they might be better because of these other things, and the Pacific is hot garbage. The teams in the Pacific that have kind of surprised, people weren't sure who Calgary was going to. It was basically a division of a ton of question marks, and Edmonton, a couple good players, and then Vegas was good, and then everything else was I don't know. And so I think people just assumed that the Kraken would kind of take the mantle, but they haven't got the scoring from the Donskoy who came from the Sharks and things like that. So I just think that their offense, as lackluster as I thought it was going to be, is just as lackluster as I thought it was going to be. So I should have put them lower down in what I thought in the season. So it's a little disappointing, I'll say. But again, lumps, they played really well the previous 2 weeks, I would say. The last week's been rough, but the three teams they're playing they're not bad teams. You can't be losing, like I said, to Colorado's and stuff, but they're not nobodies. So you got 1 point out of it, but you got to at least probably get one W in the week. You probably should beat either San Jose or Edmonton or Anaheim here, so that will make it a little bit more palatable. But playing back-to-back in California is not going to be easy. That's kind of notorious for teams to have back-to-backs in California, and whoever usually gets the second game. Anaheim's not a terrible team like people thought they would be, and they're young and upcoming, so it's kind of that's going to be a tough game. So I would almost have to say Kraken really need this game against the Sharks right now, but unfortunately the Sharks are getting healthy at the right time, so it's not got their goalie back, and so it's not looking great. But 0-0, it's a tough game. It's kind of the game that the Kraken are built to win. So squeak a goal out in the third, you come away with a couple points. So yeah, kind of a little bit. I'd sum up. I'd say a little more disappointed than I thought, but not blowing my socks off. I kind of just didn't think they had a ton of talent to start, and the rest of the division's been a little better than I thought. So that makes sense that it is the way it is.
Yeah, I think it is still early, so there's still plenty of games to go. So we'll see what happens. But they are, like you said, they're at Anaheim on Wednesday, and then they return home for a couple of good Canadian teams. So they'll host Edmonton once again, and then they will host Toronto on Sunday before taking on Arizona at home on the 21st. And that is a nationally televised game, as well as the Anaheim game. The Anaheim game is going to be on TNT if you have access to TNT. So please keep supporting the Kraken, and hopefully they're able to defeat Sean's Sharks. And that way he'll have to be shamed by wearing that shirt for the rest of the show, since we're not going to allow him to change. But let us know what you think about the Seattle Kraken. Go ahead to us. I'm at Beta_Matt. Sean's at Sean_Betty. Kev's at Kev's with first name believes being a 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let's shift over to the Seattle Seahawks. And they did it. They did it. They went to Houston. It was a tough game. They were clearly the underdog as usual, but once again they pulled it out, 33-13 against the Houston Texans in Houston. Let me go over the box score here really quick. Russell Wilson 17-28, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Rashad Penny, welcome to the game. 16 carries, 137 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyler Lockett, thank you for my fantasy team. 5 catches, 142 yards, and a touchdown. DK Metcalf 4 for 43. Bobby Wagner clearly leading the team in tackles, 15 total, 6 solo, 1 tackle for loss. Jordan Brooks had 10 and 4 solo. Over to the Houston side, Davis Mills started the game, 30 and played the entire game. 33 of 49, 331 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Rex Burkhead, 11 carries, 40 yards. Receiving, Brandon Cooks, 8 for 101. Really probably should have played him in our league. I'm playing with you guys. And then
that's a gamble. That would have been a gamble. Brandon Cooks, new quarterback.
He's all they have. He's
I
all
know,
they
but
have.
like it is Mills. Like it's just
That's
like,
true.
I mean,
And defensively, Christian Kirksey, 10 total tackles, definitely leading the way there. So I will go ahead and start with this game. I'll just point out the negative that I saw was Jason Myers missing 2 extra points. That is alarming. He hit all of his field goals, granted. So I mean 2 for 2, but overall, missing extra points, a point here and there can cost you in games, but overall, first half, was a little bit scary, but then the Seahawks stiffened up on defense, didn't allow any points, and Russell Wilson, the offense, was able to pull away. So overall, I thought the Seahawks played a pretty solid game. Obviously, I'll let you guys do the nitpicking of the bad things, but I thought the defense played pretty well. I really thought that Al Woods made a pretty solid impact as well. I think the defensive line, for the most part, had a pretty solid game. I thought Sidney Jones played pretty well. So, the defense, while granted it was the Texans, they did their job. So, I don't know how much you could fault the defense. I'll let you guys do that if you want to. And so offensively, I mean, this is kind of the offense I thought we'd see most of the year, but they at least were able to, bounce back from an all right first half and then put them away in the second half. So overall, pretty happy with the win. And there were some things to obviously clean up like there's every game, but can't fault a 20-point win. Sean, what'd you think?
I mean, you say nitpicking. There are some things, but like I said last week, don't pay kickers. Jason Myers, sorry, but like I'm just gonna say if you cut him, you save $4 million. I'm just gonna throw that out there. Kind of what I talked about last year or last week. Don't pay kickers. Don't pay running backs. Please don't pay Rashad Penny after one game. I mean, no, this is kind of like what the whole thing was at the end of last year. The defense, I'm not giving them a ton of credit. They did what they were supposed to do. You were playing Davis Mills, so you should look pretty good against Davis Mills. He's not good. So this was a game that this is the problem. That's what frustrates me about Seattle. This is the game that good teams have, and the Seahawks had one. Like this is what the Kansas City Chiefs will do to the Raiders. Or the big bad teams, maybe not that, but like they'll beat the bad teams decisively. And then when you play the better teams, it's close, back and forth. The problem is the Seahawks just don't do this consistently, and that's why they're not good. That's what frustrates me. They have the talent to be a good team. They're just, I think it's with coaching and with roster construction and other things, that's why they're not consistently doing this. Why can't they consistently do this against bad teams? That's just what I want to know. Like, this was a game that, like, why can't we do this against Ben Roethlisberger? Why do we give up 23 points to Ben Roethlisberger? He's terrible. He's just as bad as Mills. He's the worst. He's actually got worse numbers on the season than Mills, according to advanced numbers. Why didn't we do that to him? Like, why are we just letting like bad quarterbacks or other quarterbacks like do good things in the past? So it's just frustrating. And why do we have this offense that looks really bad against bad defenses and then show up against now Houston? Again, Russell looked good. I think the difference with Russell wasn't that the offense looked better. He just looked more healthy. Yes, he was doing other things, but he just looked like he can make more throws now. And like we were saying, I got to know what week it is, but like I said initially when he broke it, I was in a hospital with an orthopedic surgeon when he broke it. The news came down, and he told me it was 8 weeks. 8 weeks, and he'll be like back to sort of Russell Wilson. Now he's like he gave a couple, a week on either end. It could be a little quicker, it could be a little slower. But he said about 8 weeks. And I think we're close to about 8 weeks from when he initially broke it, or 7 weeks or something like that. And he looks sort of like Russell Wilson. So like whoever, I don't want to shout him out because I don't know if he's like okay with that, but good on you for like calling that. Russell Wilson finally looks healthy now. He missed a couple, I would say, Russell type balls, but every quarterback kind of misses a couple in a game. So that's okay. Like it was just in the past, he missed a bunch of them and it was early and it was just like, oh no, like what's happening? There was a couple balls where he could have probably put a better one, but there was also a couple that he looked and put it like perfect, like vintage Russell. So I say that Russell really got back to being fully healthy, and that gave him confidence to be Russell Wilson. And I just want in the future, like when we play, I think we play the Jets and we play one other, like the Bears, I believe. Like when we're playing teams like that, I want games that are kind of like this. Like we're talent-wise, we're much better than those teams. So we should kind of not. We don't have to beat them by 20 every time, but like shouldn't be like a 3-point game where like the Bears are driving down the field and we got to hold them off. Type situation like it was Washington last year or the Eagles last year. We need to like be beating these bad teams by a little bit more comfortable margin. And it was good to see that they were able to do it this week. The only nitpicking I had, Matthew, is Jason Myers scares the crap out of me, but it doesn't matter. The season's not going anywhere. So like if it mattered, it would scare me more. But
before throwing it to Kevin, let me just say 2 things. First of all, congratulations, JP Crawford, on getting married this weekend. Congratulations there. Also, let's say happy birthday to DK Metcalf. Today is his birthday, so happy birthday, DK Metcalf. Kevin, what'd you think of the game?
Happy birthday and congrats to JP. We're clearly going to the Super Bowl after that one. I mean, my goodness. I mean, if you looked at the 12 Twitter timeline, my God, everybody was so happy. Well, let's break a few things down here for all the 12s out there, since they were utterly confused. One, don't congratulate Penny. Like, I was a Penny dude. Like, it's still on my timeline, literally saying that he would be a beast, and he turned out to be just an injury-plagued, I mean,
you could congratulate him. You did have it.
Yeah. Now, he had a good game against the worst rushing defense in the league. That's what you should do.
Is it the worst? I thought it was like the Chargers, but yeah, I get your. I get.
It's
they could have played Adrian Peterson.
I don't do total yards. That's stupid.
So now the stiff arm play was good. There were some plays where it was just missed assignments and stuff like that, to where like stuff was like wide open. It's like, yeah, you should take that. Now, if I see this on a consistent level, like if he does it against the Rams this upcoming week,
Kevin, they're 28th in rush defense. Okay.
I mean, it's still terrible. Yeah.
They're still horrible. The Chargers are really bad, but yeah,
But if I see this on a constant basis for a couple weeks, like until the end of the season, then we'll give some props. Okay. Another thing, everybody was like, oh my God, Russell Wilson didn't get sacked. Yes, he did not get sacked by, the O-line stood up to, somebody named somebody on that O-line other than Jacob Martin, or on the D-line, excuse me. Yeah, that's what I thought. Nobody can, because it's a bunch of
Grugier Hill, who went out on the stretcher.
Wow. Way to hit a guy when he's down, man.
I know. Well, that was the one name that came to my head. I'm sorry. That was.
Oh, Malik Collins. I've heard that name before, but I had to look it up that he was on that team. I didn't know he was on that.
But it's a bunch of there's they're paid NFL players, sure. Yeah. But there's nobody that you're not going against Aaron Donald. You're not going against Chandler Jones and stuff. So that's what I expect them to do, is have a good, let Russell have a clean pocket back there, even though there were times he scrambled.
Yeah, can I say, Kevin, though, I will say he did get pressured a couple times, but I like that Russell adjusted to pressure a lot better than he did in the past. Russell would have gotten himself in trouble a couple times, but he looked more, that's why I said he looked more confident in his arm. He was moving a little bit better and then was able to get it downfield.
Yeah.
So he did.
Sorry, I'm getting the little bit of the over exaggerations out of the way before I kind of.
No, I agree. They did play better. When they did get pressure, Russell looked a lot better against pressure that he could have easily got away with. In the past, just the past couple of weeks, he probably would have taken a couple of those sacks, but he looked a lot better.
There was a lot of better decision making, sort of speak. Yeah. Defensively, should you have done what they're a paid NFL team. They're probably going to do some things, but other than Cooks, there's really no weapon that I'm afraid of, and also it's Brandon Mills throwing to him. So 16 points was, that's right. They got a field. No, it was 13. It was 13. Sorry. Yeah. It's a touchdown, 2 field. Yeah. That's all right. That's kind of usually, it was kind of Seahawks defense. We just suck on the first, drive, and then we just kind of adapt. I thought the secondary looked better without Jamal Adams back there. Ugo Amadi did his job on the pass rush way better this game than what freaking Jamal Adams would. But at the same time, too, it's also Houston's O-line, so I'm not like fully judging it. It's just I like if it was the Rams or like the Cardinals, I'd be a little bit more impressed with it. I don't want to see that upcoming since we play them both again toward the end of the year. But overall, I agree. I thought Russell's decision making was a little bit better. I want to talk to fans a little bit about DK, and I want to talk DK a little bit too. Happy birthday, by the way, DK. It's okay, and I get announcers too every game. They're like, they just bring up DK's like targets and stuff like that. It's like, you guys realize that we have two really beast receivers, and because DK is 6'4", it's just a physical beast like that. A lot of times the game plan is probably going to be against DK. Is that the right plan? Hell no, because Tyler Lockett's just a way better receiver. All around. I don't give a crap about the size. Tyler Lockett's just hands down better. They should be doubling Tyler Lockett, but people are dumb. And so they're going to double DK. And that's just kind of what happened. DK probably had a safety over the top, and then Tyler was just open on one-on-one coverage. They're just going to have big days. It's going to be very, very rare for both Tyler and DK to have over 100-yard games for each of them. One of them is going to get the majority of the crap, and then the other's just going to get blanketed, most likely, unless the defense is just absolute utter garbage.
Can I speak to that point real quick?
Sure.
I mean, Tyler had 9 targets and DK had 8, so it was about the same. And DK had a touchdown called back. He had that slant that just Russ missed him on the goal line. So
but
the targets are the same.
I get Kevin's point though.
Yeah.
In the past 4 games, I'm like, where's DK targets? I'm if they're gonna double and triple DK, don't throw it to DK. Tyler's got one-on-one. Let Tyler work. He's been killing dudes.
Yeah. Russell's not going to try to force that. That's just dumb play. If DK's covered, and then they're panning over to DK, DK's frustrated on the sideline. I'm well, yeah, because you're in double. That's what's going to happen to you. I don't know what he was expecting in the NFL. If you rise up to be like that Julio Jones type player, defenses are going to try to take you out of the game. And it's your job to just get past that. Otherwise, your very smart quarterback, Russell Wilson, is going to go to the very open Tyler Lockett or any of the other receivers who are open downfield, rather than trying to fit a ball into double or triple coverage on you, which you haven't learned how to use your body yet to try to win those battles. So it's stop. I just don't get where people are like, oh my God, get DK going. Good design plays for DK. There is design plays for DK. He's just not open, kids. And it's okay. If you win the game, doesn't matter. I get most of the time, it's probably just those fantasy people oh, a touchdown for DK Metcalf. And then it's just pick up Tyler, be like Matthew, have Tyler on your team.
Well, I do have DK in another team, and that league I am close to dead last. So thank you, DK, for that.
Overall, I thought it was an okay game. I kind of want to see, the only thing I'm really a little bit frustrated with the offense is get D Eskridge involved a little bit more. Stop with these jet sweeps bull crap. He is a receiver. He can run slants. He can run routes. He did it in college. Let him do it. Stop babying the kid. Let's see what the kid's got. Test him. Stop just locking him in a corner and just be you can only do 2 things. Just do it. You draft him in the 2nd round for a reason. Use him. See what he can do, for the love of God. But it's the whole Pete. It just frustrates me. It's you drafted a speedster for this type of reason. Yes, he can do a jet sweep. Cool. Now let's see what else he can do downfield. Get him involved. Instead of having freaking the Florida kid Swain drop 3 passes. Not anything against Freddie Swain. I think he's a solid receiver, but you have a 2nd round pick there for a reason. Test him out and see what you got. Seems like a thing. Is there anything else in this game? Oh yeah, Jason Myers sucked. That's what I was going to notice. I noticed today on the Seahawks Twitter, he is up for a Pro Bowl vote. I don't know how. Jason Myers is up for Pro Bowl votes.
Somebody on this team has to go to a Pro Bowl, right? Is it like the MLB?
Well, if anybody were to be up, it'd be Tyler and Bobby. Like,
I will say one thing. I want to say one thing. So they ran the numbers on this defense. The defense has been not very good for this defense overall.
Yeah.
I think, oh gosh, what is they are like the 26th best defense. They're not very good. They actually have the best starting field position against, but they actually give up a ton of EPA per play. So what that means is like wherever the Seahawks offense ends, Michael Dickson pins the team back more than any other punter in the league, regardless. So that's why you can't look at like average depth of punt, because like if a punter's just like Houston's guy's on his 10 all the time and just booming it, yeah, he's gonna have a really long punt average. But it's more of like, where does the opponent start most of their drives? And Michael Dixon's like 5 yards further back than any other punter. Michael Dickson has been an absolute beast for this team, and he needs like way more love than he's getting. Because I know it's punters and all that stuff, but like if you could pin a guy back 5 yards, like you tell me that your starting position of field is 5 yards further back from everybody else in the league, like, and everybody else is a little bunched up, like that's huge. Like that's really big. So Michael Dickson needs a lot of Pro Bowl votes because he's the best punter in the NFL right now.
He is the best punter in the NFL, and he's punting almost more than anybody. So he's getting out there.
Well, yeah, but when you punt that well and your average is still the best by that much too, like that's like he's been so freaking good. Like the analytics were like, dude, this guy's amazing this year. Like they're freaking out about him. So
this was the tweet about the punts this season. Also, definitely looks like Bill Burr. Like I just cannot unsee it. He really does look like Bill Burr.
There's a little Bill Burr there for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that was about it. I was gonna say. Other than so Dixon, I would definitely say I think Bobby should go as well, just because Bobby. I mean, I don't really have to explain why Bobby should go. It's just flat out.
I mean, you could argue Tyler and DK because when they're throwing the ball, they're both really efficient.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's just they've had Geno Smith for half the season, so it's like
they just can't throw the ball.
But it's like, all about stupid fantasy stats. Unfortunately, it's just yards and touchdowns versus like EPA. DK's
efficient, but not like 31st. Tyler's like the 6th most efficient guy in the league. Like I don't know, like he needs to be the Pro Bowl. Like
he should be all pro too. Like
well, I don't know. Cooper Kupp and Jefferson are one too. Like they might
that's true. Yeah.
Those two guys have been just like stupid. It's insane that Cooper Kupp's been charged as much as he is, and he's still the most efficient running or wide receiver in the league. Like that's just dumb.
Always open.
He's always open. It's just he's running the field like in the Monday night game.
It's just that Eastern Washington vibe, you know.
We can transition the Monday night game, but like the Rams or the Cardinals knew Cooper Kupp was the guy to guard, and he's still like 23 yards a catch, just running down the field. Like, gosh.
Well, yeah, let's transition then. San Francisco won 26-23 in overtime against the Cincinnati Bengals on the road. Yesterday on Monday night, the Rams won 30-23. I'll throw it to Kevin first. What do you think?
I thought it was super good because did I play last week? Hold on.
You played me.
Yep. I was about to say yes. I was so worried. I was like, okay, Nuke cannot get a touchdown. Pretty much, it could be whatever he wants, just don't get a touchdown. And the whole time he did, I was like, thank God, because my defense just he
had that 4th down huge catch, Kevin, and dropped it.
I know. So I totally forgot Thursday that the Steelers were playing because I was gonna pick up Dallas and have Dallas play. And I totally forgot to switch him. So I was like, crap. Because the rest of my team kind of stunk poop. Though I feel bad for Matthew because Lamar Jackson did go out.
That trade has kind of bit me in the ass a little bit, but oh well.
I mean,
the Cardinal, or excuse me, the 49ers Bengals game, about kind of what I thought. I thought the Bengals would kind of pull it out, but you know, I thought that it's kind of like a 50. I think they're both really good teams that are about around 500 levels. So it's just kind of like I think it'd be 50 if they play 10 games. I think it'd be 5 each type deal. Just because Cincinnati actually has a very underrated secondary, and they have good weapons. They're getting better and better every day. And 49ers have just been weird this year, so it's just kind of hard to pinpoint them.
I think with that game, I could see either team winning. I just think San Francisco, if they play their game, is the better team. I think I would think it's pretty clear, but like Kevin said, San Francisco's been really bipolar.
There's more talent, definitely, on
they're
the
definitely
Niners.
more talented. I think they're better coached too right now.
Sure.
But like Cincinnati's not poorly coached, but like they'd have more talent, and if that defense played like they did, it's hard for them to lose.
Is their head coach still that Zach?
Yeah.
Zach Taylor, yeah.
Zach
Yeah.
Taylor, yeah. Monday Night Football game, kind of. It was interesting. It was kind of like almost the reverse there for a bit. Like Kyler was just having a poop game, and like Matthew Stafford was just doing well. It was Matthew Stafford, but it was also like just Cooper Kupp being a absolute stud. He's kind of good. I don't know if people know that. So I mean, it was a pretty good battle. And then the last drive was just the last 46 seconds of that game was just I don't know. It was very interesting to watch the very last series in that, with the onside kick, the penalties, and yeah. And then Kyler running for his life and then just going down. It's kind of weird. Overall, I mean, it just kind of shows that
Update.
Oh,
It's 1-0 Kraken.
Hey, who scored?
Oh, the shark kicked it in. No, I can't even see.
But then who got credit for the goal?
Donato.
Okay.
Shimmick kicked it in. Oh my gosh.
suck it, Sean, suck it.
Take that. What do you think, Micah?
So it just kind of shows that this division is super tough still, even though we've had a lot of injuries throughout the course of this. I still think it's just the best division in football. It can kind of go anybody's way, other than, well, when Arizona's involved, it can go either way, but then it's the rock, paper, scissors game between the three of Niners, Rams, and of Seahawks. So we've already explained the rock, paper, scissors of that. But if the Cardinals are involved, it's just it's either way. It's usually just split most of the time. So yeah, I guess good for the Rams. I haven't really looked at the standings. I know that kind of puts Arizona in a little bit of a bind, but
I mean, they're still one game up, 10, 3, 9, and 4. So. Yeah, I'll go. I mean, San Francisco. I didn't watch the game, but that sounds like a pretty good game, and I saw the game-winning touchdown by Jimmy G to, was it Ayuk or Kittle? One of the two, I think. Somebody caught a touchdown, game-winning touchdown. But yeah, I mean, San Francisco has come back from the depths, and I mean they're playing well at the right time. Granted, that one Seahawks game they lost, but overall they're coming on strong right down the stretch here. So San Francisco could be a team that makes a little run if they keep this going.
Yeah,
it was Ayuk. Okay. Well, I mean, I played Jeff Wilson because no Elijah Mitchell, but that did not work out. So, what are you gonna do? And then Arizona and LA. Kyler had a bad game, and if Kyler has a bad game, I think for the most part the Cardinals are probably gonna lose. So, it's Matthew Stafford played well. Credit to Matthew Stafford and that offense. Cooper Kupp, that catch that Cooper Kupp had for the touchdown. The defender was right there, and Cooper Kupp just kept his eyes on the ball, and good play by Matthew Stafford to put it right where only Cooper Kupp could basically catch it, and he caught it. It was a touchdown, and Stafford had a pretty good game, and he hasn't done that against winning teams for the most part this season. So if he does that, this team could be pretty good. But the Matthew Stafford I know is bad in the playoffs, so we'll see how that goes when that comes around. But yeah, if Kyler's bad, then generally the Cardinals are probably going to lose, and he's allowed to have a bad game, and there's still one game up in the NFC West, but they still need to win some games to try and get that number 1 seed. So it's a little bit tougher now for them since Green Bay is tied with them, as well as the Buccaneers are, I believe. And I think they have the tiebreaker. So the battle for the 1 seed is going to be interesting in the NFC, and I think it's going to be pretty important as well. So that's going to be an interesting race down the stretch. But yeah, kudos to the Rams. I was wrong, and Matthew Stafford was good. Sean?
I want to say Matthew Stafford is 3-3 against winning teams this year. That's all I'm going to say. On that. The game was further than the score indicated. The Rams were better. I would say this game was further than the score indicated, and the first game was closer than the score indicated. So I'd say it's like perfectly. If you take both games and neutralize luck, they're probably like exactly even out. Like both these teams even out in like what the score would have been if you combine the two games. It's these two teams are going to be tough against each other. The issue is just going to be which quarterback makes the most mistakes. I wouldn't say like the Rams have Kyler figured out. Aaron Donald's a beast, and sometimes he's going to get there, sometimes he's not. Kyler also doesn't make all these mistakes all the time. Some games he does, some games he doesn't. So I guess it's going to be weird to say I hate the Rams, but it's going to be fun to watch these two teams play again if they do play in the playoffs. That would be a good game. There's a lot of talent on both these teams, so it should be quite fun there. Yeah, the Rams again looked like the better team. Stafford didn't screw this one up. Yeah, they did good enough to win. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Cooper Kupp's a beast. Matthew Stafford just didn't screw it up, basically, which was kind of what we were thinking. He played pretty efficiently. He was pretty good. They ran it well. Yeah, it's just, it was a good game all around by the Rams. They're looking pretty scary. Yeah, the 49ers, like you guys are saying, like they're making a little bit of a run at this thing. They do so with playoff odds and like all that stuff. I don't know if we want to talk about that with like, do the Seahawks are actually going to make the playoffs? Is that what you want to talk about next?
Yeah, well, here I'll. That's a good segue. Thank you, Sean. So, my editor at the paper, he and I are big sports guys. We talk about him all the time. He's a Broncos fan, so he's having an okay year. But I came into the office on Monday, and first thing he says to me is, "The Seahawks are going to make the playoffs." I'm like, "You're crazy." And so he said, "Okay, let me tell you what's going to happen. The Rams are going to win tonight. And then the Seahawks are going to win the last 4 games, finish 9-8, and get the 6th seed." And I was like, "You are crazy." Well, I mean, he was right. Yesterday, the Rams won. And he pointed out the schedule, which is the Rams next week. And then they've got Chicago and Detroit at home. And they end on the road in Arizona. And he believes they are going to win all 4, go 9-8, and get the 6th seed. So he has had some weird predictions that have turned out to be correct, but like most people, it's about 50-50 for the most part. So let me ask you guys this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how crazy is this prediction? Now I'm going to put 10 being the craziest, that you're an insane person and you should seek mental help. 1 being he's right and that's going to happen. So I will start off. I think this prediction is an 8. I don't think it is completely crazy. I just don't see it happening. Now, I've seen some people on Twitter, and you guys are deeper in the Seahawks Twitter than I am, because you guys see some things that I'm like, what are you talking about? But I did see, I think, I forget the guy's name, but he posted like he's very optimistic Seahawks going to win out, go 9-8, and make the playoffs. I forget who posted that. I think one of you guys follow him, which is why it popped up on my timeline. But I think they're going to lose 1 game down the stretch. I don't think it's going to be the Rams game. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Well, yeah, not because they're not going to play the Rams. That's why. I
think they're going to have a letdown against one of the 2 teams at home, personally, be it the Bears or the Lions. But I like with how this team has played the last couple weeks, it does give me confidence that they can do it. I am just not confident they will do it. But as a fan myself, I really hope it comes true. I want to follow the Mariners mantra and the Ted Lasso mantra of belief, because we're fans and that's all we got. So I hope it comes true, but I think it's an 8 crazy, because I don't think it's going to come true. Kevin, what do you think?
A scale 1 to 10. I will say 467,583.
Whoa.
Yeah. No chance in absolute hell. Just because I've mentioned on this podcast before, Sean McVay poops on Pete Carroll's lunch. It's the rock, paper, scissors game. We're gonna lose
Well, we won't be playing the Rams most likely, Kevin. I don't know if you saw the news.
Well, maybe.
They have like 11 people in COVID or something like that.
Well, I mean, if they're vaccinated though, we'll get into that. But
Yeah.
Okay. I have not. I've been at work, so I have not seen that. So maybe we might, but I don't know if we'd beat Arizona, especially since Arizona's probably going to have something to play for in week 18. Going for that one seed, because the one seed is so crucial. I don't see them sitting people. So I think we're going to lose to either one of the home teams, or I mean, of the NFC West, excuse me. I can see us being dumb and losing to the Bears or Lions. It's a possibility because Pete he just puts himself in that position to do it. We should be murdering them, like by 20 points or more, because they're both not good teams. But I have a feeling it'll probably be like a 7-point spread. But yeah, no, it's just with Pete Carroll behind the wheel, I just don't trust it. Unfortunately, the offense gets too predictable. We got away with Houston just being an absolute piece of trash team. We might get that again with Houston, with Detroit and the Bears, but with the Rams and Cardinals, I don't see it.
Hey, the Bears have double the Houston wins. Okay, watch your mouth, Kevin.
Sorry. Hey, they put up a fight
and 4
against
times
Aaron
the win
Rodgers
of
until they
Detroit. So
they sacked him and gave him that little, and then Aaron Rodgers then proceeded to like dump 4 touchdowns on their face. But it's just zero. If Pete wasn't behind if Russ is let to cook, I would say yes, but he's not. I mean, Pete showed it this past week with the whole Rashad Penny running and crap like that. Like he thinks the run game is important, and to a certain degree it is. But when you have a Hall of Fame quarterback and you have 2 beast receivers and good third, and both your tight ends are pretty solid, you probably should throw that ball. Just saying, but I'll pass it to Sean.
Sean, what do you think?
So the part that is like the most crazy about this is he thinks they're going to be the 6th seed, not the 7th.
Mm-hmm.
So it's 1 to 10. How crazy is his prediction?
Yeah.
Oh, it's absolutely a 10. There's no way it's anything less than a 10. Because the problem with this is, you see the stat. The Seahawks are 1 game out of the playoffs. Technically, it's not true. They're 2. They are 1 game in the win-loss column, but they don't have any tiebreakers over those teams. So they're technically 2 out with 4 games to play. The problem with that thinking, though, is 3 of the teams above us play somebody else there. So basically, you're eliminating 3 teams are guaranteed to get a game with 2 games left. So you're basically like 3 teams have to lose a couple times in the last 2 of the last 3 games, and then they play each other also. So I'll say it this way: the Seahawks are 1 game out from being the 2nd worst team in the NFC as well. So they're 1 game out of the playoffs. They're also 1 game out of being the 2nd worst team in the NFC. So like the 6th seed here, like Packers, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Seahawks cannot catch them. It's over. Dallas and the Rams, it's over. They cannot touch them because the 9 wins. They don't have the tiebreakers. It's over. They can catch the 49ers at 7-6. They have the tiebreaker over the 49ers. However, the 49ers already will get to 8 because they play Houston. The problem with this is they also play the Rams, so they could lose that. They play the Titans, but they play the Falcons. So the problem is the Falcons can beat them and we can catch them. The problem is the Falcons are also in front of you in that regard. So they will then automatically gain that game then. So if the 49ers lose, the Falcons still get the game. So you need them both to somehow lose, but they both can't. So then that was the game. But that doesn't help you then. But then they also play the but then the Falcons play the Saints, who are also ahead of you and have the tiebreaker. So then the Saints would have to win the next game. But then let's go to the Saints. Then what do the Saints have to do?
They Saints play the Bucks.
The Saints can actually just lose out then, but they only play 1 team above 500 the rest of the way, which is the Bucks. So they could lose the Bucks, but then they don't play anybody above 500 the rest of the way. So we're getting like this, and that's only to get 1 team out of there. Like there's so much. I think the official thing to make the playoffs, simply make the playoffs, they're at 2.5% was the highest I saw. Just simply make the playoffs. I don't even think they had like a 0.5% chance of making the sixth seed. So yeah, it's definitely a 10 for the 6th seed. When it and then like you said, Matthew, like the believe the Mariners were at a 21% chance to make the playoffs. The Seahawks were at 2. So let's just keep that in mind too. 21 was bad, but it's 10 times better than the Seahawks have right now. So all the tweets of like they're 1 game out, they're not 1 game out. Like they have 9 teams to pass to make, or 7 teams to pass to make the playoffs. Like they're below the Carolina Panthers. Let's put it that way.
If my editor is right, then boy, is he going to have something to say on this podcast, I'm sure.
If he does,
he can be on this podcast if he wants to.
Put money on it now because the odds of that, like they're going to make so much money. So he would make so much money simply by doing that. It's 2-0 Kraken. Yeah, like I mean, they have to pass the Panthers, the Saints, the Falcons, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Washington football team, and the 49ers. Like the problem is they just play each other. 3 of those teams are in the same division. They're gonna have to play each other. Washington and Philadelphia play each other twice, so you're gonna have to hope they split because you can't have one team win both those games. Like things like that. Like there's just too many like splitting and losing and then losing to like Houston, and one team has to lose to Miami. Like it's just we're getting like crazy here. So I'm hoping they make the playoffs, but I'm definitely not.
You're like Charlie and Sonny with that board.
No, it's just like there's no board. It's just like they're just cross them all off. Like we have to play it week at a time. Like, okay, who has to win? The problem is like 4 of these teams play each other, so we're like, oh, well, just pick one. It doesn't matter who, just pick one. So, like, yeah, I'm just like that's what I was saying with Kevin. Like, or I was saying early in the season, like that's what I like with the Seahawks. The Seahawks can play teams like this. Like they can win games like Houston, but I don't see it consistently. So Kevin's right. Like I could see us losing to the Bears because should we beat the Bears? Yes. But do we lose to teams like the Bears? Yes. We've lost to the Saints with Jameis Winston in the rain and the Steelers. Like we lost to the Vikings. Like we lose to teams like this. We lost to Washington. Like we lose to teams like the Bears. So I could easily see us losing the Bears. If the Rams are healthy, then yeah, we're going to lose. Kevin's right. We're going to probably lose. If the Cardinals have anything to play for last week of the season, I don't imagine that we're going to match up very well against that. So are we capable of beating all 4 teams? Absolutely, yes. That's the biggest flaw is, do I think we'll beat all 4 teams? I don't think so. And then we have to hope. Then we have to hope and pray that other things happen. So no, it's okay.
Well, let's go into next Sunday's game. The Seahawks will be going to Los Angeles to take on the Rams, 1:25 p.m. on the West Coast. That's 4:25 on the East Coast. Let's talk about the recent news that Kevin has apparently not heard. The Rams.
I just read Adam Schefter's tweet. Holy crap.
Yeah, the Rams have 13 players on the COVID reserve list. Jordan Fuller, Tyler Hall, Darrell Henderson, Rob Havenstein, Jaylen Ramsey, Dante Diane, sorry if I said that wrong, Odell Beckham Jr., Terrell Burgess, Juju Hughes, Bryson Hopkins, Alaric Jackson, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Jonah Williams. So this is kind of a trend among quite a few teams, and they are one of 7 teams now in the enhanced mitigation protocols, along with Cleveland, Atlanta, Chicago, Detroit, Minnesota, and Washington. So, we don't know their vaccination status. I know that the rules for unvaccinated players is 10 days. So if any of those players are unvaccinated, they're out for next week. There's no shot of them playing. If they are vaccinated, just have to test negative twice within a 24-hour period. And we've seen false positives before. So it could have some people back for the game that are currently on that list. And Tyler Higbee was removed from that list after the game because he had a false positive. So he didn't play against the Cardinals, but he was removed off the list after having it confirmed a false positive. So with that being said, we know the Rams are coming off a big win against the Cardinals, and the Seahawks are coming off the win against the Texans. So let's make some quick predictions. I just, this is based on no numbers or anything, I just think the Seahawks are going to win this game. I think that the best version of the Seahawks will come out in this game and they will win. Now, Kevin has mentioned McVay has Pete's number. I understand that. They already lost to them this year. I understand that. but I just get the feeling that this team has a lot of confidence going out that win, and I see them winning a close one. Please, for the love of God, double Cooper Cup. It might not help as much as we want, but just double Cooper Cup. Like, how difficult is that to understand that Stafford and Cooper Cup go to breakfast together, and when they're at breakfast, they're like, hey, I'm going to run an out route on 3rd and 6 in the third quarter. I'm open. Trust me. And it works every time because they share their hash browns and their scrambled eggs together, and they just know that that's going to be the thing that happens.
Yeah.
So double Cooper Cup, let OBJ, let Van Jefferson have their chances, and I'm sure they'll get some. But I just have a feeling the Seahawks defense is going to play really well this game, at least well enough to win the game. And I'm going to go out on a limb here and say 28-27 Seahawks. Kevin, what do you think?
Well, to kind of go on to your point, Matt, for the double in Cooper Cup, OBJ is on that list. So OBJ might not even play.
Yeah, I don't know his
So
vaccination
then
status, so it's
have more incentive then to, even though you still is Robert Woods still where
he's
is
gone.
He
He's done for the year. He tore his ACL.
Yeah, he's
he
done.
tore his ACL. Okay,
Yeah.
so he's dead. Okay, got it. So then you just worry about, I mean, Van Jefferson, you still do have to respect Van Jefferson. He's a great receiver. But you obviously you double Cooper all the way. To be fair, the game was super close before Russell got hurt in week 5. Like, both teams were kind of playing like poop. So, like, it could be, I think it will be a close game. And especially this is going to affect a lot. I mean, Jaylen Ramsey's the other big name when you mentioned that list. Like, if he doesn't play, that's huge. That's a big thing. Like, if he doesn't play, Pete needs to drop his boner and throw that ball, like, completely. Just throw it all day or day. Just throw that ball, because that secondary has already gotten worse. The only good thing really in that secondary right now is Jaylen Ramsey, and if he's not playing, you throw that ball, but he'll be dumb. He'll run it because he's an idiot. But I still think the Rams will probably still pull it out just because Pete Carroll's an idiot. I'm gonna say, God. I think it'll be a little higher scoring. I'm gonna say 26-21 Rams.
Sean, what do you think?
It's kind of hard to give a prediction with, at least
know who's
8
gonna play.
players. Yeah, 8 players being out. Like,
Well, I mean, Jaylen Ramsey was out against the Cardinals, and they still won that game. So
I know, but that's because Kyler sucked. But like, it's just like, who knows what they're going to look like? Like, more players could be positive tomorrow. Like, I don't know.
and the Seahawks have remained mostly unscathed by this year,
Yeah.
but who knows?
So, so like I'm just saying, like, more positives are coming out as they go on. So maybe more players are sick, but I don't see Aaron Donald or Cooper Cup or Matthew Stafford on this COVID list, so it does make me a little nervous. I will say I saw a stat that Cooper Cup has more receiving yards than all of the Philadelphia Eagles receivers combined. so far, what I'll say, and what are we? Week 14. we're not 4 weeks in the season.
This upcoming week is week 15.
That's because put in Minshew. That's why. But anyway, keep going.
I agree. Yeah.
I think the problem is like, you just can't simply double, because like what Sean McVay does on offense is he gets his guys open. He's able to scheme up ways to get Cooper Cup the ball. Like, they have a lot. They were talking in the Rams game. They have a lot of those like little plays to like 2-1 Kraken. There's a lot of ways to like get him the ball, like, where ways that you really can't defend against it. So it's like just on the flat, and they get some blockers out there, and so they're really good at being smart on their offensive side. And if that defense plays like they did against Kyler Murray, they're gonna be a nightmare for this team. With that said, I assume they will. I say Rams by 7, 28-21.
All right. And let's go down the NFC West games, although I don't think there's going to be much debate here. Arizona is at Detroit. I think that's a unanimous one right there,
Yeah, Detroit.
obviously. And then Atlanta is at San Francisco. Matt Ryan pulling the upset. Anybody?
No.
Anybody?
I mean, if they had a defense, maybe, but they don't. So
Or any weapons on offense other than one guy.
Cordero Patterson. God, it's such a weird fucking like. You think Kyle Pitts would actually Kyle Pitts?
All right.
Yeah.
All right. But let's wrap up the show here with that COVID issue that we talked about. So it's kind of going around. You both work in the healthcare industry, so I want to get your perspective on this. So the NFL had, what was it, 30 or 70 confirmed positives
That was
today.
up 70, yeah.
Yeah. The NBA has quite a few teams with positives, and the Chicago Bulls have had to delay games because they have like 10 players positive. The Calgary Flames of the NHL had to postpone the next 3 games because of positive COVID tests. And there's been no shortage of that throughout the Seattle teams. Gerald Everett was on the COVID list at one point this season. Mark Giordano, the captain of the Kraken, just came off the COVID list for the Winnipeg game. Maybe should have gotten his legs under him a little bit more before they played him. And then, they don't have a basketball team, so bring back the Sonics. But, overall, did the Mariners have any COVID issues? I forget. Did they?
Yeah, they had a couple, like Jake Fraley and that type of stuff.
Yeah, Fraley was done.
Kendall Graveman was like, everyone was like, he's a team leader, and then got COVID and refused to get vaccinated, all that stuff. Yeah, no, everyone forgot about that. Like,
there's another bullpen guy too.
Kendall Graveman gave it to the bullpen, basically, is what the rumor was, and then everyone claimed he was such a great teammate.
But let's talk about that, because last year there were no fans, and it was still an issue. This year we have vaccines. There are fans back, and depends on where you're at for the different protocols. But do you guys see this being a consistent thing throughout the rest of, since we have 2 teams going right now, do you see this being a consistent issue through the rest of the NHL season and for the NFL season going into the playoffs? Because I believe the rule is that teams, the Rams, if they have enough positives, could forfeit this game. Now, I think they will do everything in their power to not let that happen, but it is possible, if more are confirmed positive, that they could forfeit this game. Now, I don't see it happening, but it is quite alarming that they played a game last night. They have all these positives. Like, could the Cardinals have positives because of this game? Like, I'm just kind of seeing how this all plays out. So what do you guys think that this is going to be an issue down the road, especially in the playoffs, when if you miss a guy for a game, like, you could be out? Sean, what do you think?
I mean, it's going to be an issue all year with the new variants, and it's just more. The vaccinations are, again, for people who are confused out there, are just to prevent you from, yes, you are less likely to get it. You are less likely to spread it. That does not mean those are zero. It's mainly to protect you from going to the hospital. They're shown to prevent serious things happening to you. So with these new things that are more likely to spread, yeah, like, we're going to see outbreaks like this. They're loosening up restrictions. They're letting people do things. So things like this are going to happen. They made a statement today. The NFL said we will play the Super Bowl on time. So, because again, like, a ton of cases came out. So it leads me to believe, if something were to happen, I don't know if they would push it back like they did last year, because there are vaccines available, like, such quantities now. They might just force a team to forfeit, like Matthew said, if you're enough. I'm not sure all the rules that they sent out with everything of, like, how many players or what the qualifications are of a team having to forfeit due to this. But I see it being an issue with both, with the sports that are actively going. It's continued issue for the rest of the season for both sports. Maybe not NHL as much, and that's because of a lot of Canadians and foreign players in the NHL, and they have different social, stigmas around COVID vaccine, all that stuff. So it's not as, I don't think, especially in Canada, as negatively viewed as it is here. So they're all very adamant about getting vaccinated. So I think that's a different story. And they're very serious, and the Sharks got very angry at one of their players for not doing it, and basically just essentially he hasn't been kicked off the team yet, but they're just like, we don't want him anywhere near this team right now. So, yeah, that's a little different because of the social part of that. But yeah, it'll be an issue for the full rest of the season for both sports.
But yeah, you're talking about Evander Kane faking a vaccine card and getting suspended, right?
Yeah. The Sharks basically didn't refer to him as by name, but they were basically like, you were doing better now. Yeah.
And then there was Antonio Brown with the Buccaneers. Just ridiculous situation. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, more or less kind of what Sean said. I just think it's silly, especially when I see a lot of people on Twitter that just like and you're probably going to see it now with the Rams coming out and stuff like that too. Like people like calling Rams fans or calling Rams players like pieces of shit. Like they could have been vaccinated. Like it's not, you can, as Sean already mentioned, you can still get COVID while being vaccinated. It's happened. Like it just makes it less likely, and also shorter duration, symptoms are less severe and stuff like that. I think it's just going to be something that's going to be going on for a while. I think baseball just has the better method to deal with it, just with the whole farm system, and it doesn't have as much of an impact usually, where versus like things like football, when you have certain positions that are star pieces, like quarterback, like receiver, like defensive end and stuff like that. It can affect a game a little bit differently. And also the fact that there's only so little amount versus there's, over 100 games of baseball. I think it's just going to be like that until, especially as Sean mentioned with Omicron and other variants coming out, it's just going to be a thing until viruses are always going to have variants. It's just like the flu. Every year there's always a new flu, that comes out, and we're going to keep seeing it down the line until you have, an antiviral medication that is FDA approved that kind of nips it in the butt. It's going to be a thing. So teams will just kind of have to adjust, and the NFL is just going to have to do their best to, because nobody's like, for example, for a Super Bowl, if it's like, say it's like it's the Chiefs and then like Green Bay, like if both Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes are both ruled out for the Super Bowl because of COVID, they're going to push it back. Like,
well, yeah, if both star quarterbacks are at the Super Bowl, yeah, you're not going to play that.
Super Bowl. No one's going to watch that Super Bowl. So even if one of them, to be honest, even if one of them's out, I think they'd probably push it back.
Who is the backup in Kansas City?
Isn't it Chad Henne still?
Is it still? So it's a Henne versus Jordan Love's Super Bowl. Can you imagine that? There's no way.
I think it is Chad Henne.
It might be, yeah, but like
I don't remember.
You can't let that happen for the NFL.
Any backup, unless it happens during the game, of course. Like if they get hurt during the game, then it's a thing. But going into the game, if it's COVID related to where they can be, good in like a couple days, and then they're going to push it back, just because they want the most money possible. It's all money grab, which is kind of sad. But I get it too. That's how they do their thing. So I think just fans need to just chill out on, like, because I've seen like people like cursing people out and stuff like that. And it's just like, do the research on it, folks. Like you still can get it even though they're vaccinated. Like it's not them. Now I'm sure there's some that are not vaccinated that are still, not taking. And it's possible that people who are vaccinated aren't still taking the precautions that they should do, like wearing masks and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's just without a lot of the information behind it, it's hard to judge it. So people just need to chill their butt out on a lot of that stuff's going to happen. It's going to happen during the baseball season, the rest of the NHL, the NBA. It's just going to happen. It's going to be a thing that we're going to have to deal with until it's nipped in the butt. So.
All right, well, let's get us out of here on one last one. I'm going to share my screen. Can you guys hear my computer audio? I'm going to test it here really quickly. Can you hear this?
No.
Dang, well, then it must be going through my microphone. Well, if you get a chance, please check out this tweet by Victoria, currently pitting for Freshies. It has Kyler running with the Mr. Krabs walking sound effect over it. I saw it on Twitter and cannot stop laughing at it all day. It's hilarious.
Our
So
buddy Zach thinks he runs like Stewie from Family Guy, and I think about that every time he takes off.
yeah, so
But it's incredibly fast. Like if Stewie ran like that, I would love to run like Stewie. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Yeah, Twitter can be an absolute black hole for a lot of the time, but there are some bright moments on Twitter. So if you're on Twitter, go ahead and tweet us. I'm at Matt. Sean is at Sean_Beatty. Kev's at Kev's Believe. The first thing believes me in the 3. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Let us know what you think of the Seahawks-Rams. Give us your predictions, how you think the NFC West look, how crazy my editor's prediction is. We will be back next week with more Kraken, more Seahawks, and we will see you next
Hopefully
week.
some baseball. Hopefully
Maybe some
it'll be
baseball.
over.
We'll see.
Hopefully
We'll see.
that crap will be over.
Also, before we get out of here, Sean, the Kraken have officially won 3-1. So shame. Haha. And change your shirt next time. Maybe that's the problem.
You
Well,
dirty,
I mean,
dirty
at
girl.
least we're higher up in the standings. We're above like the Blackhawks. Like, let's settle down here.
He just lost to the Poopy Kraken.
Yeah.
We did. That's what the Sharks do. We usually just wait to like blow it in the playoffs, but we're doing it now, I guess. Won't get my hopes up this time. No, the Sharks are never going to the playoffs. Let's be real here.
All right. And with that, we will see you next time on Washington East to West Sports.